What is good, y'all? Welcome back to the Herro. Welcome back to a brand new video. We are here. We are back with a brand new video for you guys. And listen, man, we have a lot to get through in today's video. Y'all might have been wondering why I didn't drop this earlier, because what I'm going to be talking about is something that, happened a few hours ago, back in the afternoon-ish. And we're going to be talking about exactly what transpired during Pat Riley's exit interview and his press conference, I guess, to end the season. So we're going to be talking about that in today's video. Make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below what you guys think. We have a lot of takes regarding what he said. So a lot of this is kind of just what I interpret. Pat Riley is a smart man. Let me just say this first of all. Pat Riley is not stupid by any means. He's a very smart, seasoned president, and he's one of the best in the business. Objectively, over the past, I guess, how many ever years he's been with the Heat, he has been one of the best in the business. So now, obviously, the last few years has been, to me at least, it's been a little bit questionable with the offseason moves, but over his career, his track record has been phenomenal. So you can't really, you always have to give Pat and the Heat's front office the benefit of the doubt when it comes to, making moves and running the organization. The Heat have always been a very, very well-run team. So you got to kind of trust that they know what they're doing when they're saying stuff. They're not just saying stuff for no reason. So a lot of Pat's messages in today's press conference or interview, I guess, they have messages behind them that you kind of have to understand. You have to go deep in. You can't just really just read them and hear them on a surface level. You have to go deep and analyze exactly what he's meaning by what he's saying, because everything they say, every word that Pat Riley will say in that conference or that he said in that press conference has a meaning behind it. So you have to go deep and understand exactly what he means by what he's saying. So we're going to do that. So the press conference started, and Pat Riley was asked about, he actually gave a statement first. So he gave a statement first, and his main point in the whole press conference was player availability. That is the point that he stressed from the start of the exit interview to the end. He kept talking about availability, injuries, being on the floor, everything surrounded with that. He kept bringing up, reiterating, like everything that he was talking about went back to player availability. Now, he even talked about how other teams like Minnesota, OKC, like teams who did really well in the regular season, they played, their guys majority played 70 games a year at least, and we did not have that luxury. Only Bam and Jaime were the only two who cracked 70 games for our team. So Pat Riley stressed on this from the beginning. He kept talking about how the main goal of this offseason is to figure out how the players can stay healthy next year and how they don't miss as much time as they did this year. So that is the main purpose of what he was talking about from the start. He was talking about player availability. He was talking about how players have to stay on the court. Now, the next topic was when reporters were asking him about Jimmy Butler and his extension, possible extension. Now, Jimmy is obviously eligible. He's going to be eligible this summer for a 2-year extension worth, I think, about $56 million annually. And that's going to be essentially, right now he's on a 1+1. So he's on a 1-year deal plus a player option potentially. So that's going to be, let's say if he were to accept that player option, it would essentially be like a 1 additional year on his contract. You'd lock him up for a future year, and all 3 are guaranteed basically. Right now we have 1 guaranteed and we have 1 that is up to him. Giving him this extension would give us 3 years, including the year that's about to happen after this offseason, fully guaranteed. So I think up till he's 37, he would be locked up. Honestly, when the news broke out about his extension, I was like, you know what, pay the man. I'm not really too fussed about it. Like, you got to take care of your players. He led us to 2 finals. He led us to Eastern Conference Finals run. He was phenomenal in the playoffs in every single series he played except for 1. And he carried this team on his back. So I was all in favor of paying the man. I still am. I still want to have Jimmy on the team. There's, I guess, a minority of people who wanted to get rid of Jimmy. I don't really fall into that at all. I'm a huge believer of keeping him and riding with him, and eventually having his jersey retired up in the rafters. So that is what I, believe about Jimmy's extension. But when Pat Riley was asked about it, Pat Riley was like, you know what, we're not in any rush to give it to him right now. We still have a year to do that. We have, a year's time because he's guaranteed for this year. So we're not in any rush to give him an extension right now. So that is what he started off with. But then when the question was asked but I think somebody asked him this question. He was like, Jimmy Butler is eligible to get an extension. He's eligible to come to the Miami Heat and ask them on either July 7th or June 7th. I don't remember the exact date that was mentioned, to go up to Miami and be like, can I get an extension? What will the Miami Heat do then? He was asked this question, Pat Riley, and Pat Riley was like, we don't know yet. We have to see that. We have to weigh our options. We have to figure out exactly what's the best thing for the franchise. And he was very professional about it. But then he also started talking about how there's a lot of things that factor into this extension possibly for Jimmy. And the main thing he was talking about with Jimmy was the games played. He kept talking about that with Jimmy. When he was asked about the extension, he talked about how Jimmy had to stay on the floor. He talked about how that was a priority that he discussed with his agent last year, and how Jimmy has to be on the floor more for the Miami Heat to be successful. So already off the bat, that's I'm not saying shots at Jimmy. I don't think it's shot. I think it's more like motivation for Jimmy to stay healthy and be on the floor next year. Because when Pat Riley was asked about the possibility of trading Jimmy, he shut it down. He was like, nah, we're not. We want Jimmy here, but Jimmy has to be on the floor. And then when asked about Jimmy Butler's comments that he made in a video, I think when he was at the F1 races in Miami, he was in a video and he was like, oh, if I was still in the playoffs, then Boston and New York would both be at home and we would still be playing. Now, when Pat Riley was asked about that, he was like, if you're not playing on the court, you just got to shut your mouth and just don't say anything. That's what he word for word verbatim said. And that was like the big headline quote of the press conference. He was like, if you're not on the floor, don't speak. And honestly, I agree. I'm not saying Pat Riley, should have just come out and said that for no reason, but I'm just saying that I do agree with what he's saying there. And honestly, I don't think it's a bad thing that he's saying that. It could turn bad if it's taken the wrong way, which I hope it's not by Jimmy, but he's correct. Jimmy, even after we won game 2, was like, don't let us get one. He posted that meme, and he's like, time after time, Jimmy has posted so many checks that his guys, have had to cash on Jimmy's behalf when Jimmy has never been there, or whenever Jimmy has not been there. So he's right about that. I don't want Jimmy to come out here and start talking like we haven't done anything for him to start talking like, oh, if I was in the playoffs. Yeah, we made it to the finals. Okay, that's great. But what have we done to build off of that? Last year or this year was a complete disappointment. So it's really, really, to me, as much as I love Jimmy, I love that he's going to be himself no matter what. I just think sometimes just like, bro, like you don't have to, talk every time. Like you don't have to keep writing these checks that your teammates are going to have to cash. Like your teammates are not as good as you at all. Like apart from Bam, nobody on this team is going to be able to cash those checks. So again, I don't think there's any purpose in you saying that, Jimmy. So I agree with Pat there. And I actually don't think it was terrible for him to say that, but a lot of people started to overreact, to my opinion. I think people were like, oh, Jimmy's going to request a trade now, and he's not going to like that comment by Pat. Honestly, if I know Jimmy, I obviously know he had history like with his past teams, but Miami and Jimmy is like the perfect fit, and everybody knew that since the beginning of this time here. And Jimmy and Pat Riley, they have a very, very unique bond and relationship where just like how Jimmy will publicly criticize his players sometime or go at them or talk trash to them, Pat Riley will do the exact same thing to him. And I don't think Jimmy will take it the wrong way. Now, I hope he does not. I really hope, because this could go either one or two ways. The first way is Jimmy uses these quotes and these comments by Pat Riley. He uses them to fuel him, and he uses them as motivation. And the second way is he takes it the wrong way. He gets offended by this, and he requests a trade. Now, I really highly doubt that the second way is going to happen. And this might just be wishful thinking, I'm not going to lie, but I really don't think that Jimmy Butler is the type of player to have a falling out with Pat Riley. I feel like they speak the same language. Now, obviously, this has happened with Dwayne Wade in the past, or LeBron, or anything like that. But the thing with Dwayne Wade was that Pat Riley refused to give Dwayne Wade the extension. Now, if Pat Riley doesn't give Jimmy Butler the extension, maybe we'll have some conversations then. But the comments in the media, I don't really think that phases Jimmy at all. I think that actually is the same language that Jimmy speaks, because he would do the same thing. I feel like he would do the exact same thing if he was in Pat Riley's position, because I feel like those two are very similar in that way, where they'll just call people out and they won't think it's personal. Jimmy has said that before when he's done interviews. Like, he'll call his players out, but it's not personal. It's just to get better. And the whole purpose of Pat Riley's comments was to light a fire, in my opinion, under Jimmy for him to play, next season and play as many games as he can next year and take it as seriously the regular season and the playoffs as he can. So that's what I think about Jimmy. I think that it'll fuel him in a good way, especially after, a few hours later, Jimmy Butler's agent responded to Pat Riley's comments, and he was like, Jimmy Butler, the goal of next year for Jimmy and for Miami is to reload this thing and come back here to help Miami win a championship. So from Jimmy's camp, I think the message was received well. I don't think it was received badly, because this is from his agent. So I think a lot of people started waving panic flags way too early. I think and I understand that's natural whenever you have a guy going at a player, a president going at a player. Like, to me, it's just accountability. I don't think it's anything personal. I don't think Pat Riley's trying to disrespect him by any means. Pat Riley also said so many times that Jimmy Butler is a really good player, and Jimmy Butler is a guy that they don't want to trade, and Jimmy Butler is a guy that can move the needle. Pat, physically, he said this verbatim. He said that Jimmy is the one guy on this team who can move the needle. So I don't think Pat Riley doesn't want Jimmy on the team. I think Pat Riley is just trying to motivate him and light a fire under him for him to be available next year and play more games. That's it. Now, as far as the comments on Tyler Herro are concerned, Pat Riley started off by he called him fragile, but he said that he has a really good work ethic, and he said that hopefully next year he can prove everybody wrong or shock everybody by playing a full season or playing a lot of games. Now, being called fragile is not exactly something that is like the best thing to hear if you're a player. That's the last thing you want to hear a team's president say about you. So a lot of people were saying that he was not giving Tyler flack. I think he was. I think he was going at everybody, to be honest. I think everybody got it from Pat today besides Bam. I think Bam was the only guy who was absolved of any criticism, because why would he be? Why would he be criticized? Bam Adebayo has played 70 plus games this year. He was the only player to show up in the playoffs for Miami. He's done nothing wrong. The only thing that Pat said about Bam was that he had to shoot more. But as far as Tyler is concerned, he's right. Tyler's injury concerns have been an issue, and I don't think Pat went as hard on Tyler, because that's the only bad thing he said about Tyler was that he's fragile, and he stopped. He didn't say that too many times. He said it once, and then that was it. Now the only thing that I'll say about these comments by Pat about Tyler Herro is that Tyler Herro might take it the wrong way, because I don't think Tyler Herro has the same mindset as Jimmy Butler. I don't think Tyler Herro is, he's going to use it as motivation and fuel. I think Tyler Herro might, he might take it the wrong way. Now, again, Pat Riley also backed him up when he said, I think somebody asked him about Udonis Haslem's comments, and Pat Riley was like, nah, he's a starter. UD shouldn't have said that, and he knows better than to say that. So that is something that I caught, and apparently Tyler Herro liked that. He liked it on Twitter when Pat said that, so that he was a starter and not a sixth man. I don't know, the whole Tyler Herro thing. I think the whole Tyler Herro thing has ran its course, but I really don't think that any move is going to be made with him. Just because if you see the rest of what Pat said, Pat was asked about major changes, and he was like, "We're not going to rip anything apart." And there's only 2 or 3 guys in the league that we would go out and absolutely just shoot for like crazy. But apart from that, there's not really much that we're going to be looking at besides minor changes. So, I mean, depends on what those minor changes are. But again, I'm not having high hopes for this offseason as far as wholesale changes, even though I do think we need them. I think Pat Riley, the whole message behind the press conference today was, if we were healthy, we could have, maybe made a run. But we have to stay healthy throughout the regular season. We have to finish higher in the standings. And health and player availability is a priority. And I don't think he thinks that, I think he is a lot more sure that with fully healthy that we are a championship contender than I am, or than a lot of people are. Because to me, I think we need more. But to him, we might not think that. He might think that we just need some stuff around the edges here and there. But obviously, that's not what I or a lot of fans think. But again, it's Pat Riley. I'm in no position to, not give him the benefit of the doubt. That's what I'm always going to give him, that benefit of the doubt no matter what. So that is basically what he said about Herro. He also said that Spo had to look at the offense and defense. I think that's the one thing that I'm like, I don't agree with that at all. Like, Spo did completely fine to me. Like, he did the best he could. He was given a roster that had 0 upgrades last year at the start of the year, and then he had guys missing time left, right, and center. Like, there's not really much that Spo could have done in my opinion. Like, I don't really think Spo is at fault at all. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's really what I feel about this whole matter. I think, the thing is, like, with Pat Riley, the only thing that I wish, he kind of said in his press conference, which he didn't, like, I think I agree with a lot of things he said, and even the Jimmy thing, I don't think that was a big issue. Like, I don't think it's going to turn into a big issue. I could be wrong completely, but I don't think it's going to become a big thing just because I think Jimmy's going to take it the right way. But the one thing that I wish Pat Riley said in his press conference was, like, which obviously, like, maybe that was me just being like, oh, I wanted to say this, but I really wish he talked about how this team lacks a lot of things that are needed to win a championship. Like, he didn't address the deficiencies of this roster. To me, he kind of used injuries as an excuse. Now, I'm not saying that's what he was trying to do, but that's just how I interpreted it. Maybe I'm interpreting it the wrong way because, like, I don't really know how you can see this roster and even fully healthy believe that they're a championship contender, because I don't think they are. And he did not talk about how they needed to make wholesale changes. He did not talk about how they weren't good enough, how they lacked in X area or Y area. To me, that should have been addressed. That was the one thing that I'm like, if Pat Riley had made that clear and he had addressed that, then maybe I would have had some confidence that they would have done something significant in the offseason. Instead, he didn't do that at all. So then that's why I was like, shoot, I don't know if they're actually going to do anything in the offseason of significance, because it's like they probably think this roster is good enough to compete if they're fully healthy. And I really don't see it at all. I really don't. So again, that's just me. I'm not really, because we saw this team fully healthy down the stretch, and they were losing games to Washington and Indiana and Philly and Dallas, and they were losing to a bunch of teams. And the Washington one was crazy. But yeah, I don't know. That's just me. We'll see what happens. We'll see how this transpires. Again, the whole Jimmy Butler thing, I think a lot of people are overreacting. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, obviously, like, since it's not common to, NBA fans for a president to call out a player like that you're a star player like that in a press conference. Yeah, like, to NBA fans, it'll be like a little confusing. But I mean, I don't think as Heat fans we should be shocked. Like, Pat Riley is old school. He's gonna talk like this, and I do believe Jimmy is old school as well. I do think he's gonna take this the right way. I do think he's gonna use this as motivation for next year, and he's gonna make it a really good year. That's what I believe. Again, we'll see what happens. Shout out to everybody who's been showing love on my videos, man. I'm gonna do a live stream soon where I kind of break all this down. But yeah, that is my takes on Pat Riley in his press conference, his post season press conference, and hopefully moves are made. Hopefully the front office gets on their stuff and upgrades this team, because I think everybody should be held accountable, not just Jimmy Butler, not just Tyler Herro, not just Spo, like everybody. I think it starts with the front office, and the thing is, like, Pat Riley or anybody can talk about people missing games, which is completely true. I completely agree, but at the same time, like, I don't think the Heat have successfully placed a team around Jimmy Butler to be a effective championship contender lock. And I feel like the playoff runs that they've had in the bubble and last year, and I think 2022 was the one year where they placed a very good team around Jimmy. But the bubble team, last year's team where they made runs, I think it was through a lot of overachieving, a lot of great coaching by the best coach in basketball, and a playoff player, a top 3 player in the playoffs, turning into an absolute, franchise player, best player in the NBA material in the playoffs. It took that for the Heat to reach the finals, in my opinion. I don't think that they had the talent. I don't think that, they had anything, special, to be honest, besides a coach who is generational and a player who turns into the best player in the NBA come playoff time. I think those two really bailed the Heat out, because if we didn't have Jimmy and Spo, we would have not sniffed anywhere near the NBA Finals, let alone even anywhere close to that. So that's why I think the roster should be upgraded as well. I don't think people were, I don't think Pat Riley talked about that in the press conference, which is why I was a little disappointed. That was the only thing I was disappointed with. But everything else, I agree with a lot of things he said. I do think Jimmy has to play games. I do think availability is a big factor. I think it's a big reason as to why we were not successful. And obviously, when your lineup is changing and chopping every game, like, you don't really know who's going to play. Like, Spo is, has having to deal with guys missing here and there. Like, it's really tough, obviously. But I do think they have to sort that issue out, and they also have to sort the issue about finding a talented team on paper who's ready to contend right now. But yeah, we're gonna leave it at that. Again, this was a pretty long video, so make sure you guys leave a like. If you got to this point, you guys are legends, man. Shout out to you guys. Leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know your thoughts down below. Again, this is just my opinion. Again, everyone can have different opinions about what Pat Riley said, but this is just mine. And I just wanted to share that with you guys so you guys can understand what I thought. But yeah, we're gonna leave it at that. Make sure y'all drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Have a nice day. Peace.